From Henry Cavill leaving the series after season 3 to the show moving away from the source material, here's why some fans are starting to hate The Witcher. Based on the book by Andrzej Sapkowski, The Witcher is one of Netflix's latest adaptations. It's been a major hit since 2019 and scored a staggering 8.1 rating on IMDb in its first season. But things only got better when season 2 got a 95% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It was a great fantasy show and people absolutely loved it, though it wasn't just about the story and the monsters, because the fans also loved Henry Cavill's role. Well, at least those who hadn't read the books. It was meant to be Netflix's own Game of Thrones, which was honestly true until season 2. After that, things went downhill for the franchise, especially after Henry announced his exit from the show. A show without its lead actor is just like a bike with a missing tire. It's bound to fall. Cavill plays the main character, Geralt, who, with his superhuman abilities, is always on the hunt for monsters and beasts. But he's not just a monster slayer. As the story unravels, we see a much softer side of him, one that loves and protects. Henry played the character incredibly well, and since he was already a fan of the games and the books before diving into this role, he had a deeper connection with the character, a connection that could be sensed through the screen. But our Witcher won't be staying with us for long. After the release of Season 2, Cavill announced he'll be leaving the franchise after Season 3, passing the helm to the Hunger Games star Liam Hemsworth. The news was shocking, not only for the fans, but for the cast members too. After all, they couldn't imagine the show without Henry in it. That said, the decision came after a series of creative differences because while Henry wanted the script to stick to the books, the writers wanted to add their own flair. This really angered the fans, and now they're boycotting the show. Even the Yennefer star Anya Chalotra said Henry was a major part of the set, and without him, things wouldn't be the same. Henry was the show's guardian angel, and now that he's leaving, the franchise is at risk of crashing. But Henry's departure isn't the only thing that's making fans hate the show, because people think it's just not a great adaptation. Not only has it deviated from the books, but it's changed the identities of a lot of characters as well. Geralt's best friend, Jaskier, for instance, has been on many adventures, but the adventure Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich sends him on is a gender identity trip. Now, Netflix has been featuring many queer personalities in all of its adaptations, and that's the case for The Witcher as well. The charming bard who lives to tell Geralt's stories of heroism has a bit of a twist in his love life. Jaskier's known to flirt with every pretty maiden that meets his gaze in the books, but showrunner Lauren has him follow a totally different path, a much queerer one. In the show, Jaskier turns out to be bisexual, even though the books never portrayed him like that. And now the fans are upset, not just because it goes against the source material, but also because it ruins the bard's personality. Being the only non-magic straight human in the Witcher universe, he was the perfect ally for all. But now being a part of the minority group, his ally status is at risk. Besides, while having queer characters in show is great, fans think it shouldn't come as a detriment to the original story. And even if they did want to have characters with different sexual preferences, they could have simply come up with an original character instead. This isn't the only change fans are upset over, though. I mean, there's been some intense discourse over race-changing characters over the past few years. And, well, The Witcher's also being criticized for the same thing. Again, nothing wrong with bringing diversity to media, because not only does it help curb racial discrimination, but it also helps people of all backgrounds relate to these characters more. The issue here, though, is that they've done it to already existing characters, something that's a no-go territory for fans of the novel. So which character, or should I say characters, got this transformation? Well, it's the lovely Yennefer and her friend Fringilla. Fans say it's disrespectful to the book and the writer. This isn't the only racial swapping we see either. There are many black elves and dwarves that aren't featured in the book. Was this necessary? Fans say that it wasn't. One fan says that if there's a story set in Africa, then it will obviously have many black people. It makes no sense to make them all white. Fans go on to say that the movie executives don't care about the story and are only using it to make money. Well, duh. I mean, the franchise already had its fair share of haters since the beginning, but it all quadrupled after Henry's exit, and now it's become harder to keep fans happy. So, with the fans getting annoyed by every minor thing, the latest thing that's boiled them over is the wardrobe setting in Season 3. It's medieval times, where people fight with swords and are muttering spells under their breath. Now, you definitely won't expect to see a guy clad in a modern-day suit, or any woman dressed like a teacher in that setting, would you? Before you say that's impossible, let me warn you that the characters in The Witcher Season 3 are seen wearing dresses that are a bit too modern for that time and place. Fans were dumbstruck upon seeing the mighty Geralt wear a coat. And don't even get me started on Yennefer, because she wears dresses that can only be seen at the Met Gala. The fans started dubbing the Witcher Geralt from Amazon, while Yennefer's being called a 7th grade maths teacher. Sure, they're funny names, but it also shows just how deep the problems go. After all, most other fantasy series have these issues. It's just that when the writing is good, fans can overlook all this other minor stuff. But it looks like there's no coming back for The Witcher anymore, because all this outrage has actually affected it. Seriously, fans are now calling for a boycott. There have been Reddit threads asking everyone to not watch the show anymore, and get this, they don't even want anyone to hate watch it. Plus, there was a Twitter poll that asked if Hemsworth was the right choice for Geralt, and the majority of fans voted no. They want to show Netflix just how serious they are, and intend to hit them where it hurts the most, their viewer count. All the hate did pay off, though, because Season 3 saw a 15% decrease in viewers compared to Season 2, and it only kept getting worse with each episode. For instance, Episode 1 had 1.1 million viewers, and the finale only had 500,000. Remember, this is only the first part of the season, which makes this even worse. Also, the streaming service is getting desperate now as well, posting ads across social media that mention how Cavill's still Geralt in Season 3. That said, the show was on a downtrend even before Henry announced his departure. After all, the creators of the show have made way too many changes to the OG story. Sure, it's called an adaptation, meaning it's not going to follow everything from the source material, but it has to follow the plot and the main story, right? Because in The Witcher's case, they only follow the books in some very basic stuff, throwing in some noteworthy locations and including some big moments from the books. But when it comes to developing a narrative, it's all in the little details, which are totally missing. The fans are having a hard time wrapping their heads around the show, because they never imagined seeing their favorite characters be so different. I mean, what was the point of that Voleth Meyer plot at the end of Season 2? Yennefer's a motherly figure for Ciri, so to see her sacrifice the princess was just insane. Plus, they just fixed the relationship right back up at the start of Season 3, meaning we didn't really get anything meaningful out of it either. Fans are angry at the misrepresentation of the story and its characters. And despite Lauren's promises to keep Season 3 closer to the books, it's still far too different. Fans are done with the lazy writers who don't respect the source material and don't pay attention to the plot they've developed either. And now, with the arrival of Hemsworth, things are looking real bad for the franchise. So there you have it. From the show moving away from the source material to Henry Cavill leaving the series after Season 3, that's why some fans are starting to hate The Witcher.